In this lesson, we go ahead and refine our nose. So, as I've mentioned before, this is that one part of the face that I've definitely been struggling with, and really the easiest way for me to explain the reason for why that is that I don't have enough reference. So what I did was I ended up just searching a little bit more for a few more images that could sort of shine some light on what's happening with his nose. As you can see, I'm missing a few key points. And what are those? Well, there's an actual round shape in the middle of his nose, but the bridging in between the middle cartilage, which we call the alar cartilage, and the nostril has a very specific flat plane change, which is why you see so much light shining above it. But before we get too deep into that, let's go ahead and work on the nasolabial fold. Now, I'm most likely going to redo this more than once because as you change the nose, you end up having to change the nasolabial fold. It just kind of goes hand in hand. But I realized that his nostril is a bit more squared. It's sort of like a half a cylinder, if you can picture that. So a half a cylinder for a shape of his nostril, and that's what we're looking for. So it's going to end up being a little bit fuller, a little bit more interesting looking. But it was eluding me, so that's why we definitely need to pay attention to this. And you can see the nose is pretty thin now, and this is one of those areas where he has a fairly symmetrical nose, so while I did break some symmetry, we will be able to sort of use symmetry to help us sort of make large adjustments like this. However, we know that it's not perfect, so we want to keep that in mind as we work. Continue to add the nasolabial fold, and ideally what you want is a little triangle shape just underneath that nostril there. That's where you sort of kind of know that you've got it right. We always have this little gap, and make sure to check it out on the mirror if you like. But right as your nasolabial fold comes in, you have a little just gap in between the nose and where the nasolabial fold is. There's just nothing grows on there. It's just a nice gap, and you can see it's a fairly triangular shape there. So for me, adjusting this ends up making a big difference. Now you see we're starting to get his nose to be a little bit more thicker. And you see there is quite a bit of skin showing, but it's a little thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and basically transition it to the rest of the face here, just using the clay brush here with lazy mouse on and lazy radius on 1. That's why I'm getting these very smooth strokes, as you can see. Redoing my eye bags, you can see that I can still do symmetry here and not worry too much about it. Only some things are asymmetrical, so you can see that we're fairly close to what his face is supposed to look like. And you can see, just trying my best here to get the nasolabial fold to kind of cut in on the profile of that nostril, but at the same time give us that nice, sharp look of the skin, because he definitely has that on the reference. You guys can see it on the right there. And I think that's pretty interesting for me to leave the reference on screen because you can see exactly what I'm aiming for, what is the goal. So I'm pushing it up a little bit here, and I'm going to end up just cutting in the nostril again. And this is the tricky part really, where you want to smooth on the outside of these edges in order for them to sort of not ruin the cuts that you've done to delineate the nostril while still maintaining the nasolabial fold. So it's a little bit tricky, but definitely doable if you just do it, calmly and paying a lot of attention to it. So you can see I'm still thinking that I need more volume here on the nose. And you can see there's clearly a difference now because of the fact that I have asymmetry going on here. And I'm going to go ahead and use the trim dynamic here and sort of plane out what this nose is supposed to look like, and trying to sort of match that lighting with the new information that I've gathered as far as the shape goes. Because if you look on the right there, you can see that half a cylinder for the nostril. You can kind of picture that, but you can see that there's like a block of, you know, cartilage on the top of the nose going to the tip. So that's fairly important for us to adjust. Now looking at it from the profile view, trying to raise it up a little bit more. Again, one of the things that I will say is we're just trying to get as close as possible, but really perfection is going to be difficult, and if you're looking for perfection when doing a likeness sculpt, you're probably going to be disappointed. It's very difficult to do so, and mostly if you're looking for that, then you're going to scan the head anyway. So this is, I think, a fairly relevant thing to say at this point, because we're getting really close to what his face is supposed to look like, but, you know, we're having a little bit of trouble just adjusting some pieces. But, you know, we can't really be too harsh on ourselves at this stage, because likeness sculpting is very difficult. It's a very advanced type of sculpting, and it requires a lot out of you. And, you know, it requires you to rest your eyes and things like that. So in any case, it's definitely getting there. The shapes are becoming more solid. I'm definitely liking how this is looking. You can see I even added a little curve there to the nasolabial fold, so it's not just a straight line, you know, it's a little bit more organic. And I'm going to round out this tip of the nose here. There we go. Again, this is why having so much reference is important, because I know exactly how his nose is supposed to be shaped when you look at it from that angle. I'm going to make the eyebrows come in a little bit higher, smooth out the nasolabial fold again, and this is a little bit too strong for me, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. You can see it's all about finesse, and you go in, you come back, you keep working on it. And to me, again, I think it's really, really important for you guys to see this process of, I wouldn't say a struggle, but, you know, a search for something. You know, we're having a bit of difficulty, but we're always moving forward. We're looking at new reference, we're trying to adjust it. So you see I got this nice image here for you to take a look at, where I can just match the angle and see if I'm getting there, and it looks like I'm pretty close. So I'm going to adjust here the bridge of the nose, and I'm going to make it a little bit straighter there, push it back here. And you can see that there's a lot of light shining here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some volume in here to get that light to shine a little bit more. So always pay attention to your lighting, and then look at your reference for, you know, those spots where you're supposed to add the volume or take it away. So we can dig this in a little bit now and really construct our nostril in a very specific way. So I'm going to dig this in here. You can see that there's a lot of shade in between there, so we can definitely do that. And see how complex of a shape this is? Very difficult to get on your first try, as you can see, and very difficult to get if you have limited reference. So always something to keep in mind. But now I think we're definitely getting close to it, and I think with a little bit more refinement and just filling in these gaps here with a little bit more clay, we're going to get there. And again, we'll be able to refine this in between lessons. You can always take a look, you know, you'll just go work on the mouth for a little bit, then come back if you're still not happy with it. And it's always good to just give your eyes a break so that you can start visualizing things a little bit better. Now that I'm adjusting just the side of the nostril here, I'm not really liking too much of the asymmetry here, so I'm going to just pull it back a little bit. And in general, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I think we're definitely getting there. Just thickening up the bridge there. And then I'm going to cut this area in here so we can have our eyebrows come in a little bit better. But anyway, let's stop here, and let's work on the mouth in the next lesson.